Good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday. We're going to go ahead and get started. It's 9:01. So just want to welcome all those who are on the call. Thrilled to have you guys join us today. So today we're going to just kind of jump in and follow up on a couple of questions that we had last week, and we'll go in to the presentation that I have for you guys. So let me go ahead and share my screen real quick. All right. Okay, so if you can see my screen, please show me by raising your hand or saying yes in chat. Okay, awesome. Fantastic. All right, so let me just go ahead and jump in to this presentation. So welcome everyone. My name is Rachel Gainsbrugh and I am a lifestyle investor. I love to invest in fun things that bring me back some revenue. And I'm also an Airbnb ambassador. So I've been hosting on Airbnb for a few years now. Really excited about that. And when I realized that I was able to generate about a six-figure income in a little under a year, I really bought into it and thought that this was definitely something that we were interested in order to kind of exponentially grow our real estate portfolio and our investing needs for the future. And so for last week, we had a couple questions. One that was surrounding real estate arbitrage. The question was how to approach the property managers and landlords. And so although I do not invest in arbitrage for the most part, I have ventured into it a little bit. I've reached out to some property managers just to get a little bit of a feel for how that conversation would go. And I got nothing but yeses, to be honest with you. And so it's going out there a lot of times with the confidence and knowing that you are the one that actually has the opportunity, you have something to offer. And the conversation that I had with the property manager went along the lines of, my name is Rachel Gainsbrugh of Luthen Enterprises. I provide short-term housing for travelers who are coming into town for work, for training. So we provide corporate housing for that type of population. So I know that there's another super group with a member, let me see, I don't recall her name off the top of my head, but she does only arbitrage and she's an expert in that. So she can most likely assist with identifying or narrowing down the proper multifamily units or the apartment buildings that would most likely be willing to work with you. So I think it was Debbie that asked that question. Hopefully that helps a little bit, and I'll get you in touch with that property, that super group leader who specializes in arbitrage. The next question I had was around luxury versus standard short-term rentals. So as you all know, Airbnb and short-term rentals went through the ringer back in March 2020, but it really, really picked up really quickly. And so luxury short-term rentals for me has been key because of the opportunity to really minimize my cash flow gap between our expenses and the cash flow we would need to retire early. And although I do not implement all of the luxury items that are listed on this list, I try to implement the majority of them. And this is not all encompassing by any means or stretch of the imagination, but this is just some of the luxury or the items that were pointed out to us in our properties that they felt, the guests felt that they were taken care of and they felt it was luxurious to be there. So remember, luxury is really all about lifestyle, right? It's about when a guest steps into the property, did they have a and pretty much a private, anonymous, seamless, easy check in and check out. That's really huge. So in order to implement that, we have a high-tech, door keypads, and that offers them that effortless check in and check out. The environment and the vibe as they're pulling up to the property. I know a lot of investors in our area also invest in the urban area where it may not be the most dangerous, but it may be a little bit not appealing when you see, a lot of litter. The area is not well maintained. And things of that sort. So as they're pulling up to the property, is it well maintained? Does it look like someone's there, someone's taking care of it from not only the interior, from the exterior? So this is the difference between a person who's purchasing a home and they think to themselves, okay, I can maintain the lawn, and get it up to par to my liking. But this is a guest that is going to be there for just a few days or maybe a few months. So is the area well maintained? That's going to be a very, very big deal to them. To touch on a few of these points, I don't want to read all of these out to you, but stone countertops in the kitchen well stocked, meaning does the kitchen have pots and pans and flatware and dishes and so on and so forth. Okay, so I have listed here king bed, and the last few that are italicized, these are not must-haves at all. However, they're really nice to have. So the king bed is the ultimate default luxury travel bed. So remember that. So the guests are looking for something that's reasonably firm as far as a mattress is concerned. Smooth, all natural fiber sheets. So they're not looking for microfiber or anything like that. In the luxury arena, we're looking for 100% cotton sheets. And even the mattress cover, they're looking for a non-synthetic type of mattress, natural fiber mattress cover, natural fiber bedspread, or even the duvet case if it's a natural fiber as well. Pillows are a big deal. Pillows of a variety of whether it's like a harder pillow versus a softer pillow. So a couple of varieties are really, really nice for the guests as well. Coffee maker, an espresso machine, a nice clock, full-size mirror. What's new to us as well is we've added a desk or work surface to our units. That's very much a big deal. We have a lot of folks who are workationers and remote working. And so that's going to be something that really helps elevate their experience at the property. So I would say that all of our properties, they tend to lean into this luxury arena in terms of getting giving the guests kind of that experience that they're looking for, the experience of convenience, and we know that technology is a lot of times the ultimate luxury. Smart TV, when the vacationers, show up to your property, or whether it's a vacation or a travel nurse, right? Having that Netflix, Roku TV really gives them a great experience. It's easy to log into, automation is easy, so effortless, high tech, those things make it really, really easy and give them that luxury feel or luxury experience. So what's been trending in addition, I didn't want to skip over the eco-friendly. So eco-friendly is something that we try to achieve ourselves. I'm not saying we're 100% there, but glass or paper water bottles, quote unquote, as well as LED lighting. And there are definitely some small ways to start to venture into the eco-friendly world, because ultimately that's going to make the biggest impact for the next few generations. Okay, and so I have game room and gym in italics. So next to some of the large living room next to the TV, we can place something like a foosball table or a pool table. So that not only elevates the mood, it also, it's great for optics, great pictures are taken. It really provides that experience type of feel for the guests when they're coming. So they know they're going to have a good experience, especially if it's a group or a family that's coming into town. And gym, having a treadmill, next to a laundry room and, or in the laundry room or, off to the side is something that's been very helpful as well. And we've gotten good reviews for having a treadmill. So if you have a small exercise machine, a bike or a treadmill, something like that, I think that's very, very helpful. As long as it's, it's compact, you can place it there and it's relatively in good condition and easy to maintain. Definitely, that's something that I think would be helpful if you have the space to add. But the gym is definitely not a full gym, and it's not a deal breaker at all if you do not have that. Okay. And so when it comes to ultra luxury, I wanted to kind of go into that and show you guys a little bit of what Airbnb offers or some of the vacation rentals offer for like the dignitaries. This is like ultra luxury items that we do not offer, but just wanted to make that clear differentiation. A daily housekeeping, a personal chef, someone to pick you up at the airport, car rental, a driver, a butler, childcare, spa services. So this is at a whole other level. Just wanted to just kind of take a few seconds to point that out to you guys, what is considered ultra luxury in this vacation rental world. All right, so going back to last week where we left off. So we talked a little bit about self-inventory, planning, goals, and I added a couple of these little bubbles here. And so for those who are starting off with not as much income or minimal income, what I've heard suggested and what I've seen worked really well, and of course, I'm not an attorney, I'm not an accountant, so none of what I say today should be considered legal advice. Definitely speak with your financial advisor, your accountant, your attorney before you engage in any of the relationship type of activities. But I just want to list it here. That's something that's definitely out there. Joint venturing, partnering up with friends and family to start your first short-term rental is definitely an option. House hacking, if you live in a duplex and there's another unit, that's definitely an opportunity. Also, if you live in a house with a finished basement, that is also an opportunity to get started, to get some of those funds going, because you will need a down payment for for purchasing your investment property most times. Sublet, aka arbitrage. We spoke a little bit about that in the beginning. When you are operating a master lease agreement, so someone else owns the property, whether it's a chain multi-unit apartment complex, one of the mega apartments like Camden, or if it's a house or a small condo somewhere, someone else owns it. You rent it from them under a master lease agreement, and then you go ahead and you short-term lease that as well. And so there's data out there, Airbnb published back, I want to say in July, that shows the best places to arbitrage in the US. And I know Georgia was listed there. There are some cities specifically. Florida was also listed, and there are a few others as well. And co-hosting. So co-hosting, I've heard, is really, really great for those who do not have much of an income to get started. So this is a person who can help those who own and who are renting their property on Airbnb. They help with the messages, because there's an average of 12 messages per guest. They help with answering questions and things like that. And they would help with pricing as well. And they can assist, in increasing the occupancy rate. And so the co-hosts, they typically get a percentage of the revenue for the properties that they help to host. a little bit more on self-inventory. So I have listed there for you. Just if you do have some income, whether it's W-2, some of the steps that I personally took before jumping in and getting started. So had my W-2, my husband and I, we cleaned up some debt. We looked at our income history, calculated our monthly expenses, and determined, okay, if we really wanted to go full in on this and retire, what would we need in order to continue to sustain our way of life? And so drilling in, we calculated our monthly expenses. We added our passive income, whether it's like a little book royalty, whether you have dividends. And I'll point to, so this section here, you have dividends, or if you have other rental property, you add all of that quote unquote passive income. And so of course our monthly expenses exceeded our income at that point. And so we were in a personal negative cash flow, as many people are in America. And so we determined $5,000 was our desired monthly cash flow at retirement. And so a total cash flow or revenue increase of 8,765, and these are just kind of broad strokes numbers. These aren't exact, by the way, is what was determined that we wanted to achieve. So in order to close that cash flow gap, we had to somehow come up with that difference. And so at that point of time, we were looking at multifamily investing, like small units, maybe 4 units. And when we looked at the estimated cash flow that we could achieve, it was anywhere from 300 to 500 per month at the time. It would take 29 properties for us to reach our goal. However, when we looked at the short-term rental arena, if our cash flow, after all expenses was $2,000 a month, it would take 4 properties. That was the second scenario. And then if, we rent or we purchased or we invested in some of the higher end, more profitable areas, it would take only purchasing 2 properties. And again, I know this is probably counterintuitive to what a lot of my cohorts purport, but for us, we still work full-time jobs. We have 2 little boys. And so for us, we wanted to operate the least amount of properties for the highest amount of profitability. So having 29 doors for us at that time and at this time was not something that was at all appealing to us. So 2 or 3 doors. So our goal was to acquire and purchase 2 to 4 doors over the next 3 years. And so I wanted to take a pause and give you guys an opportunity to answer that for yourself based on what your numbers are and where you are. And I know you didn't do the exercise with the spreadsheet, and that's something I do with a lot of my coaching calls, is to go over those numbers one by one and determine what that debt-free number is, or that financial freedom number would be. So start thinking about how many short-term rental properties you want to purchase in the next 3 years and put it in writing, And even though for us, it did not seem to be possible, we did achieve our goal of 4 short-term rentals in under 3 years. Okay, so after you've done that little exercise, want to continue to expand your mind frame in terms of how to acquire the properties. There are so many different ways to acquire a new property. And, there's the Burr method, arbitrage, conventional purchases, creative purchase, foreclosure purchases, pre-foreclosure, owner finance, for sale by owner, new construction on land, and so on and so forth. There are just so many ways. And as a member of REI USA, you have access to all of those experts within all of these different arenas to show you how to purchase a property creatively, to show you how to purchase a property through foreclosure. And so definitely I would take advantage and see if any of those super groups or leaders can kind of point you in the right direction if any of those things resonate with you. There's also a land expert, and he's great also. So if you want to purchase for new construction, to eventually use that property as a short-term rental, that's also an avenue. So there's so many ways to skin the cat. But for today, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the conventional way and the conventional funding, because money right now is cheap. And having to borrow from a hard money lender right now, I think unless they have some kind of value proposition in terms of helping with some of the rates or the points, I think it's ideal to purchase via conventional funding at this time. Again, I'm not a lawyer, so definitely, get to know what your financial situation is and what properties are out there. Okay, so here's how we did it, and I'm not telling you by any means this is how you need to do it, but since we have our personal home, you're allowed to have one second home. And so our second home is considered the home that's 50 miles plus away from our personal home. And so when you have that second home, or if you purchase as a second home, instead of it as an investment property, you get to put less money down. And so for us, that was big. We didn't want to be completely depleted of our savings. So we wanted to put less money down. And considering that property, that's your next property, if it's a second home, you can put less money down. And so definitely speak with your banker and find out a little bit more about that. The second thing we did is, instead of purchasing the second property as just a traditional investment property where you're putting 20% down or 25% down, according to one banker that we work with, you're allowed one vacation home per region at 15% down. So if your vacation home is, in the Florida Panhandle, you're allowed one per region at 15% down. And so not sure if you can do that one per husband, one per wife, or one per spouse, but that's something that I've seen done, but I'm not an attorney. So, and so if you have the opportunity to purchase one per region, you can, essentially or theoretically purchase multiple vacation homes with only that 15% down, maybe 4, 5, or 6 homes that way. And then lastly, of course, the conventional investment property at 20% down. So these are the conventional funding that I've come across. These are actually some of the best little strategies that I've come across. When you're purchasing that second home, you get a really a good deal with the amount that you have to put down, much less than the 20-25% down. When you're capitalizing on the one vacation home per region, less than the 20-25% down. And then finally, you'll get to that 20% down if you hit that number. All right, so wanted to focus today really on how to find the property, how to find the region. I'm going to go over real quick. If you already have a property you're looking at, or if you found a property, you want to know if it's going to make a good short-term rental, I've got you covered. However, if you have no clue, you don't know where to start in terms of finding a profitable, and I really want to focus on helping you guys find the most profitable short-term rentals, not just the one in our backyard or the areas that we know. I'm talking about the most profitable in North America. And so understanding your client avatar, I popped this slide in here real quick. This is our avatar for 20 and 21. These are the folks that have stayed with us: vacationers, workationers, staycationers, those who are displaced from their home, for instance, for natural disasters. And finally, those are relocating to the area. And profitability, how do we know if it's profitable or not? If our average daily rate and our occupancy rate, we multiply those two numbers and it gives us how much that we made for the month. So profitability KPIs are our daily rate and our occupancy rate. So the 4 aspects to finding your next cash flowing luxury short-term rental. So location is huge. Are you a business travel or a vacation travel location? Again, we spoke about regulations before numbers, analyzing the property, and what is the value proposition that you are presenting compared to your competitors in the market. So here's what the data and the research shows. So it used to be, I'm going to vacation in Paris, I'm going to Europe, and that's, that's the thing. But for 2020, 2021, not so much. The vacation fly to locations were significantly down due to COVID. So coronavirus has had the biggest impact on all of these wonderful fly to locations. Additionally, urban areas saw a big decrease as well. So it was down 55% per AirDNA. People, they wanted to be a little bit distant from one another. They didn't want other people breathing on them, so to speak. And so, that would explain why the urban areas were down. A lot of times people go to urban areas to take advantage of the nightlife, the great restaurants and all of that. Well, when all of that was reduced or shut down or, is kind of operating at a lower level, at this time, it really removed a lot of the appeal for the urban areas. And what won 2020 and 21 were the regional drive-to locations. So they fared much, much better than all of the other markets. So for instance, regional for us would be somewhere like Panama City or Hilton Head or Savannah, those areas where you can drive to them and it would take less than 5 hours, which is ideal or thereabouts. Those are the areas that did the best. Regional, of course, is going to be based on where you all are located. So if you're like in Pennsylvania, the Poconos, that's, those areas are going to, the Poconos will be, regional to those in Pennsylvania and so on and so forth. So I'm just speaking to the Georgia, Florida folks. So regional, Panama City Beach is just an example. Okay, so say you have a property address and you want to do like an analysis to see whether or not that particular property will make a good short-term rental. And here is a quick and dirty. I use the AirDNA Rentalizer as a quick and dirty, and I put in the address. And once you add in the address, you add in the number of bedrooms, the number of bathrooms, and the estimated number of guests. And this number down here will give you the annual revenue estimate, the average daily rate for that area, and the occupancy rate. So this is just really, really high level. Definitely you would have to dig in. It is a little bit of clickbait, but it really just gives you an overview of what some properties have made in that area. To me, honestly, the biggest number is the occupancy rate. I like that number a lot because it tells me whether or not it's an area that has rentals, that an area that people are going to. And so a number like 30% for occupancy rate, I probably would not invest in that area at all. I like the occupancy rate to be 65% and higher. However, if it's 50%, I've done really well in those areas at all, because what drives your occupancy is going to be your marketing and your ability to really highlight your property and make sure that it is one of the best in the area. And so I'm not afraid of an occupancy rate area of 50%. I can definitely overcome that. What would be a bit of a challenge for me is if that location is only seasonal. And so currently I do not invest in properties that are only short-term rental, short-term rentable, say 20% of the year. I'm not getting my ROI back on that. So it has to be 100% of the year. I can rent it 365 days of the year if I wanted to. Okay. All right, so we did this exercise on the Badass Women's Summit where we went through, and this is actually an exercise that I went through. I've done a ton of research for you guys. And so honestly, I felt this exercise was excellent. I picked 3 personal choices off the top of my head. I picked 3 additional choices based on the trends that I was seeing. I picked 3 additional choices that Air DNA highlighted as greater than 65% occupancy rate. And additionally, I picked 3 additional choices from another data tool called Mashvisor. And so these tools, these are, and we'll go through one in detail in a moment, but these tools, they really highlight for you a lot of blog posts on which properties, which locations are doing well. And we're provided that information throughout the year. So every quarter and every year. So my goal really was how to find the most profitable short-term rentals. And this is an exercise that I also conduct with my coaching students as well. This is actual data that I pulled down and I had listed, I had it on my wall. And so we were going for this for sure. So this is definitely some of the areas when you're getting started and you have no clue, this is definitely some of the research that is worthy to undertake in order to narrow down to the areas that you want to invest in. So a rule of thumb for me, since again, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, we're not necessarily purchasing, 28 doors. Actually, this week, a friend brought over 28 doors to us in Toccoa, Georgia, and we're looking at it, and just it's a challenge, it's a challenge to find a property that will meet that criteria. And here's why we declined on that property, although we're looking to maybe do like a little boutique hotel soon. We declined on that particular property because when we went onto Google Earth and we looked at Google Maps, and as you were walking the neighborhood, it has to have a cuteness factor, y'all. I don't know how else to say it. We get so many reviews. Oh my gosh, your house is cute. Your house is cute. If it's not cute, it's going to be missing that luxury feel, And there's we bought some ugly things that we were able to turn around and make it cute. It has to have the potential to be cute without spending a ton of money. So definitely keep that in mind. You may find some good deals out there, but there's got to be a cuteness factor to it. And that's not something that I hear a lot of real estate agents talking about. All right, so for us, multi-units. So we love to buy a house that has, like in Tempe, Arizona, the property was a house and it had a little casita. That worked great. On our beach property, we're building a house with a carriage. Our property locally has a finished 2-bedroom basement apartment, and also an option to add an accessory dwelling unit, an ADU. And so we love finding properties like that. So when you have a single family home and it also has like a little casita or a carriage house, you have 3 lines of business potentially there. The main house is 1, the carriage house is 2, and then the entire unit could be your 3rd listing. And that's how we typically list our properties. The main property is 1, the additional property is number 2, and then the 3rd option. So say it's a huge family coming together, or multiple families coming together, and they want to rent the entire situation. So that's 3. So that's my little 1 + 1 = 3 that you see listed there. And when we're purchasing our homes, especially if it's in the 300K arena or greater, we definitely flatten the ceilings. We make some high-tech updates, LVP floors, as I mentioned before, a little gym or laundry room with a treadmill, game room, kitchenette, and that smaller unit as well. Where to invest getting started. So a lot of us, I know we want to look at areas that we're interested in vacationing sometimes, which is a perk. For sure. We want to look at growing areas. We want to look at areas where business travel is expected too. So hotels, universities, they have airports, specialty industries such as the filming industry in Atlanta, areas that have hospitals. So if it's 30 minutes away from any of those, you're going to be doing really well. And additional information and details can be found in those items listed below. Data and trends, we've already touched on this a bit. And the AirDNA data that was published in 2020-21, I really want to jump in and talk to you guys a little bit about this because I found this to be very, very useful. And it is one of the tools that I'm using to inform our next purchase. So this actual report has 3 components to it, and it finally scores it using an investor score. So as far as rental demand, so how does this report define rental demand? Rental demand is going to be how often rentals are booked throughout the year and how many rental listings have been added. So how many listings and how often they're being booked. And so it compares it from year to year. If it increases, that is your rental demand. That means people are wanting to travel here. And you know, property managers, homeowners are listing new properties because they do identify that people are coming in. The next parameter is your revenue growth. So did the properties earn more this month than they did the same month last year? So that is the calculation. Is there revenue growth? And lastly, the investability. So this metric compares the cost of owning the home using like Zillow, Home Value Reports, Data.io, Home Value Reports. And it compares the cost of owning the home to the average income of the full-time short-term rentals that are listed on Airbnb and VRBO or Vrbo. And so that number tells you whether or not it's an investable area. And so with all of those 3 data points, the reporter identifies an investor score and scores these areas. And then it breaks it down to us, which is amazing, from up and coming to mid-market to the larger markets. And I wanted to kind of pause and take a quick peek at that report with you guys now. Okay, and here it is. With a show of a raise a hand or raise hands, can you let me know if you can see my screen with the report? Okay, awesome. All righty, guys. Thank you. Fantastic. Okay, so the up and coming areas. So remember, we've already discussed those 3 parameters: investability, rental demand, and rental growth. You get a couple bonuses: annual revenue potential and how many active listings. What's great about this report, and I'm going to drop this actually into our chat, guys. So if you want to follow along with me, I think that'd be cool, right? Let's see. And just so you know, we're on webinar mode. And so if you are speaking, I won't be able to hear you. But if you have questions, please feel free to drop your questions in the chat. All right, so what's great about this little report is that the filters or the little sort buttons are your friends. So you can kind of sort based on which data point you want to look at. So for me, my first go-to is I'm in Georgia. I said, you know what, let me see what's going on with Georgia. So it sorts in alphabetical area. So I have these two cities that show up, Cleveland and Cherry Log, okay? And so they both have really great investability data and great investor scores. And so this top portion of the report, it's broken down into three portions, are your up and coming markets, okay? So this category is identifying allegedly the hidden gems off the beaten path spots that we really didn't know about until recently, okay? These have less than 100 active properties, but according to AirDNA, they expect it to grow. So these are the hidden gems, y'all. However, I will make one caveat. I notice a lot of these areas appear to be rural. I would definitely go there, find out more to make sure, even though it's rural, make sure that it is a travel area. It's an area with cute shops, antique shops, and places that people would actually want to go. And I would do my research that way. That's number one. And number two, I would want to see some of these places listed on additional reports, not just from AirDNA, which I think AirDNA is great with the data scrape that it does, but I want to see it listed on Mashvisor and some other places as well, at least, okay? So the best places to visit up and coming markets. So I look at this here. So like I said, Georgia, Cherry Log. I like the name Cherry Log. It seems cute. Annual revenue potential 41K. That sounds great. 97 properties. Rental revenue growth by 100% compared to last year. Rental demand 85%. I mean, these numbers look great. So Cherry Log, Georgia. Personally, here's my next step. I go to Zillow, and I know Zillow is a cuss word sometimes, but I'm just doing like a broad strokes search. So don't shoot me, guys. So Cherry Log, which I had never heard of, Georgia. And I get Atlanta. So I'm going to do it again. Cherry. Is it one word, guys? It's probably one word. Ah, there it is. Cherry Log, Georgia. All right. So I am looking for a home. Here's some lots. That's cool. I'm looking for a home. This is kind of cute, kind of. Not really. So if I'm looking in a cabiny type of area, honestly, guys, I don't really want to see these types of shingles. I rather see like the, or maybe painted brown. I don't know. I rather see, tongue and groove or like cabin look, So, oh yeah, like something like this. Oh yeah, this looks so adorable. So the first thing I do is I kind of read the overview, because although this house may have different zoning regulations here, the neighbor or the neighboring neighborhood may have different zoning regulations. So definitely take a look at the overview just to get an idea. However, you will need to get with the zoning department to make sure that it is short-term rentable. So already I see private, great room, kitchen, located, fireplace. That sounds fun. Secluded driveway, keeps the property privacy. Excellent rental history available, and that is huge. And as we go throughout the course this year, we'll go over rental history and so on and so forth. So that's great. That's good news. But regulations change. Don't hang your hat on that 100%. And then so I take a look at the pictures. Oh my gosh, this is cute. The water looks a little sketchy, but that's definitely something to look into. I love this tongue and groove. So I really, really, really like when I see the tongue and groove in cabins, sheetrock. I see some sheetrock, that's fine. But I want to see a lot of tongue and groove. So which is definitely very specific to that region and to the type of property. And so this right here would definitely be something that I would pick up the phone and phone a friend, Avery, my girl, and ask her about this property. And so this is something on the MLS. It's been here for 47 days. A lot of properties are getting snatched up. You guys now have the inside scoop on Cherry Log. Definitely something to look into. I'm not sure why it's still on the market. You know, not a lot of people may know about it. Not exactly sure, but it is something that I would definitely reach out to her and ask her about, just based on your budget. So as you can see, of course, a lot of the properties that we purchase are going to be close to the market price. We do a lot of negotiations and a lot of types of credits and things like that to get the price as low as we possibly can. But we personally have not really done a lot of major fix and flip renovations to get our properties. I think that is a great way to go if you have that skill set and if you have the resources to do so. But we don't have the skill set. We don't have the resources. We have just some resources. So for us, we want to have a property that's almost ready to go from day one. So a lot of times, as soon as I put a house, you know, put a contract in, I'm already creating my listing. Okay, so I'm at the closing table and I'm ready for someone to come into the home. I'm not going to hold it for 6 months, you know, to get things squared away. No. Now, by the time the first mortgage is due, we have, you know, rental income coming in to pay for that first mortgage. So that's our goal. All right. So going back to our little report, guys, just continue to play around with this. So this is your mid-size market. Again, let's go to Florida. We have Captiva, Florida. Okay, investor score of 86%. Well, say I just want to invest in properties with the highest, you know, highest score. And so this is great, 96.9% in Yucca Valley, California. Another rule of thumb for me personally, I need to be able to drive to the property, and it shouldn't take me more than 5 hours or so to get there. So if it's more than a 5-hour drive, at this point, that is kind of outside of my investment range. Once we're back to flying and everything's back to normal, that may change. But for me, California would be a little bit too far right now. Oh, here's another one, guys, Morganton, Georgia. Another area that I was not very familiar with. So let's see. I feel like I'm a little bit prejudiced towards Georgia, guys, but definitely play around with it and, you know, put in the city in Zillow just to get started. And at that point, you can identify what the housing availabilities are from a retail perspective. And lastly, these are the largest markets. These are the markets that have 1,000 or greater properties that are listed. So you're going to have some saturation, but definitely still some opportunity because the demand is there. It's been tried and true. And so Panama City Beach in Florida is an area that we invest in or close to there. Let's see. You can go by investor score. So again, California guys has the greatest investor score, and then Tennessee, Sevierville, Tennessee. So definitely somewhere that's not too far, less than a 5-hour drive. Excellent revenue potential. Look at that, guys. Oh, look at this. Gulf Shores, Alabama, guys. Look at this revenue potential. Excellent, excellent revenue potential for sure. All right. So I really hope this little blog report was helpful. I hope you all were able to click onto the link to play around with it. I'm going to open up for questions. Please place your questions in the chat box. Before jumping into questions, I did want to share 2 more slides with you guys. So for those of you who are aware, I have started a Facebook group just to talk about luxury real estate investing, especially from a financial independence perspective, how to get there. And it's kind of like a safe space for all those who are homeowners that have rentals or all those who are aspiring to be vacation rental owners. We self-manage all of our properties. We do not outsource to property managers. So definitely a space to talk about the tools and the automation that we employ in order to have that. And let's see, and one more slide. Okay, just want to let you know, we're going to have monthly guest speakers, whether it's a speaker going over some of the tools that we use, demos, we can do demos. We have an expert on 1031 exchanges, how to utilize those funds to get into your next property. We'll have guest speakers who are lenders. We'll have self-managing hosts that are managing more than 4 or 5 properties, come on and talk and kind of give their perspective, and also market experts. And with that, for next time, we're going to have my dear friend, Avery Carl. She is a phenomenal real estate agent and investor. So she invests both in long-term housing, like Section 8 housing, but her primary portfolio contains vacation rentals. Her areas are the Southeast, like Alabama, Destin, Florida, a lot of Tennessee. The majority of her cabins are in Tennessee. So she was listed as Wall Street Journal's top 100 agents. She sold over 200 million in short-term rental properties since 2017. She owns 30 properties herself. She's featured on Bigger Pockets. And what I love about Avery is what her specialty is. So she specialized in connecting investors with short-term rentals and with the highest ROI potential. So really thrilled. So please, please, please join us next time to see Avery speak, and send me your questions ahead of time. Feel free to email me your questions and I'll have her, answer those questions and make sure that the talk is meaningful for you guys. Okay. Oh, Dolores has a question. Yay. Hi, Dolores. So how do you build your team in the areas you choose? Great question, Dolores. And so we're going to go over that in a few weeks. The way I build my team really is by utilizing the Airbnb portal. So I go into Airbnb, I look at who all is also self-managing their properties, and whoever is self-managing their properties and has a really, really high score in terms of their ratings. I'm looking at 4.9 or above, because y'all, your cleaners make or break your business. And so if you visit a property and it's like not been cleaned very well, you're not going to give that property a good review, right? So the cleaners are huge, 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 huge. And so if I see self-managing property with over 100 reviews and it's 4.9, and this is an individual that's managing their property, I know that they have an excellent cleaner. And seriously, I know they have an excellent cleaner. And so, not saying for you all to do this, but my little shady way of doing it is I make friends with all of these folks who have these great scores. And I just tell them, hey, I'm looking to buy a property in the area. Any pointers or anything that you can share, I would really appreciate it, And so it's almost like cold calling a little bit. I send them that message through, Airbnb Messenger. And if they respond, out of maybe 20 or so, one will respond, and then we'll hit it off and they'll give me pointers and become friends. And then I find out who their cleaner is, and then I make friends with their cleaner. That is one of the ways that I actually start building my team. So that's one of the methods. Another is turnover B&B for the cleaning team is definitely a really good resource. I've heard great things about Turnover B&B. I've worked with some good cleaners on Turnover B&B. So that's another tool. Also, handy.com. I've used Handy some. They can be a little pricey, but they're okay. Thumbtack. Thumbtack is one of the resources that I use. And of course, let me think. Now those with Thumbtack, I use to find handymen, to find plumbers and electricians. And so my goal when I'm launching a property in a new area, I actually interview them and I set it up so that I have at least 4 on standby if anything is needed. And then I can just contact the next one and contact the next one until someone can come out to the property. So, you have to ask very, very pointed questions for cleaning services. The cleaners, you want to make sure they know how to clean short-term rentals. There's a difference between cleaning short-term rentals and cleaning a home, right? So in a home, the cleaning person cleans around all of your paper and they kind of stack it up really nice in your home. But at a short-term rental, they need to throw all of that personal stuff out that's, that the last guest left behind, right? And so definitely something, we'll go through it. I have a whole step-by-step on how to interview your cleaning service team and how to build that team up for sure. All right, let me check if there are any other questions, guys. Oh, it looks like Deborah, your hand is raised. Was that in reference to me showing my screen, or did you have a question? Okay. She put her hand down. All right. So I think that's it, guys. Hopefully I get to see you all in the Facebook group. I'm hoping that it's definitely going to be a place that you all can draw some value, get your questions answered in a timely manner. Just thank you all. Oh, one more question. Oh, I'm getting more questions. Okay, awesome. So the next question is, how do you determine the number of guests per home? My rule of thumb, Dolores, and so this is such a great question. And that's why it's really important, guys, that you work with a real estate agent that understands rentals, short-term rentals, because square footage, oh, I want a big 3,500 square foot home, or I want square footage is valuable for that person who's buying a home for their personal use. However, for a short-term rental, not necessarily. You can definitely squeeze in a few people more than you would expect in a regular home. So think of it this way: square footage is for purchasing a home or a long-term rental, but for short-term rental, it is heads to beds. How many beds can I fit in there, and how many heads can I fit in there within reason, of course. So I've seen a lot of people do different things, but for me, it is 4 people per full bathroom. Okay, so let me say that again. 4 people per full bathroom is how I determine the number of guests per home. Okay, so if it's a 2-bedroom home, 2-bathroom home, I listed as 8 people. 2-bathroom home, I listed as can fit 8 typically. Okay, and I'm sure there are caveats to that. So next question. Okay, did you use your personal home for your next purchase? So my equity, I have not yet, but I want to. So I'm in the process now of building a home on the beach, and we're going to use we want to use our equity in our home to purchase it. Oh, hang on. No, personal home. Never mind. Did you use your personal home? It's equity in another home, not our personal home, but our rental is how we're going to go about that. If we can swing it without taking out any equity in any of the homes, I would much rather that, but we may have to use and do the BRRRR method, the buy, rehab, rent, refinance. So we may have to use the equity in one of our rentals. Would I use equity in my personal home to purchase vacation rentals? It depends. I may or I may not. It just depends. All right. And I was just asked to send the link again. I am going to send that, and check me out in the Facebook group, guys. If you have questions, if you need links, please feel free to do so. And thank you for joining today. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye now.